happy race day. Happy raise your hand if you really thought, we were going to kind of get Richmond being normal Richmond. Seriously, I'm going to raise my hand twice. But we didn't. I knew the two-tire option was going to bring some different options into things. But I was not prepared. Was not prepared for the way things went down at the end at Richmond. Anybody else? Was anybody else prepared for that? Because I literally was not. No. Like, literally most people are like, oh, Richmond, they really only need one race. Yeah, sometimes I like Richmond personally. It's local. It can bring on drama. As we clearly see, I think the two-tire option brought a different aspect to it. Excuse me. Than we have seen here in the last several weeks, last several races at Richmond with the tires. So where you could drive through the field all of a sudden and pass, but you only got about 40 laps and you needed more tires. So that softer tire really did throw a ringer into things. But overtime threw even bigger of a ringer into things than I was expecting. Now that the penalty's been announced, I'm not sure 100% how I feel about it. I understand, though, why right hooking someone is not the best thing to do. I will say it that way. In any instance, it has caused major issues. It's caused major concussions in drivers. It has caused major just major issues overall. We'll just leave it that way. And if you have watched for any length of time on Monster Minutes, I am a very large advocate for brains and brain safeties. You only get one of them. And yeah, you have to take that stuff seriously. And I think as fans, our biggest issue is it's back and forth. Like, there's no real cut and dry. You do this, you get this. And we see some drivers do this and they don't get anything because, the SMT data doesn't show this. Or, but the next week a different driver does this, but the SMT data shows this. And so, then this driver gets this. So there's no real consistency overall of decisions and rules. The other real big thing that I saw this week too was Denny Hamlin and Joey Logano have both, rear-ended, bumped and run, hit someone to win a race as well. So I don't know. It does definitely make some things a little more difficult, I think, overall. So stage 1, we do see Christopher Bell win. Martin Truex Jr. and goes for a ping pong ride basically in stage 1 as well, as he and Denny Hamlin go 3 wide. Michael McDowell got the free pass and going into stage 2. And then Daniel Suarez tried the softer tires, and that combination worked for him. And the soft tires at the beginning with the normal tire at the end worked for them, and that led for him to win stage 2. He was gaining ample spots, like 15 spots on those soft tires. It was insane the way him and another driver were coming through the field. I believe, let me see. Oh, Michael McDowell. He was at the end of the tail because he got the free pass. Both of those opted for the soft tires at the beginning of stage 2. They flew through, making up huge amounts of ground. And for most part, they were at least 2 miles an hour faster than everyone else on the track. I was like, good, googly moogly. But it worked. That strategy that they had worked for them. It played off for them. It did at least what they needed for stage points and winning stage 2. Sorry, y'all. I'm sadly still trying to recover from being sick for 2 weeks. It does take me at least 2 to 3 weeks. It is what it is. We head into that third stage, and this is where everything goes crazy. We had a mix of people doing soft tires and hard tires, because half the field had both sets of their soft tires. So drivers had 2 sets of option tires, and then they had the rest of the regular tires. Some, waited until the final stage to use those softer option tires because they knew they only would get about 40-ish laps on those tires. That was all they were going to get. And once they got those 40 laps, they were pretty much going to have to come down pit road. And then this is where Austin Dillon, made his move as well. Martin Truex Jr. at the beginning of the stage, calls into his team stating he was blowing up. That's like the 4th engine this year that Toyota has lost. Especially on Joe Gibbs. That's just, again, insane. But he was able to get off the road, or get off of, the surface, get onto pit road. He had no power, and they pushed it behind pit wall. They did say it was a similar issue to something that happened earlier this year. So evidently they got to go back to the drawing board and figure out what's going on there. So that put him out with less than 120 laps to go. And then that's when we started seeing pit stops. Most of the top 15, that's when they opted to go in for their softer tires to see. But that really put them all on pretty much even ground. So you're not going to get anywhere if everybody's doing it. You're all even. It's when you're off sequence that you make the biggest ground that we saw. Overall, Austin Dillon caught up with Denny Hamlin. It looked like, they were going to pass one another, or Austin Dillon was going to pass him. But with other cars, coming off pit road, looked like Denny had cleared him. And it was going to be okay. But Austin Dillon came back and passed Denny Hamlin again. And I was like, okay, this is going to come down to whether drivers can keep their nose clean, like keep their pit stops, if they have any additional pit stops, keep them timely, no mistakes, and all of that. But, Austin got back around Denny, and he is putting together the faster laps. And it was great, but because it was like right there at the end of the race. And then the accident happens right in front of him. And that sends us into overtime. And I was like, oh, okay, so this is going to be crazy. Overtimes the last several weeks have been crazy. That's nothing new. But we already knew that Denny Hamlin was going to go for the win. We already knew that if Joey Logano was going to be up there, he was going to go for the win. If they were going to go for tires, if they were going to go for anything, you had to get this restart dead on. And it looked like Austin had a dud of restart to me. And Joey got the better restart. So he went up, got the back end of Joey, and he looked to me, based on the data, like he was running the same line that he had been running before when it clipped Denny Hamlin. So I'm not sure if that one was necessarily intentional or not. So I can't say on that one. I think the Joey Logano one was, though. So I'm going to go with that was intentional. I can't say for sure that the Denny Hamlin was. I know both of them weren't happy, though. And Joey definitely showed his displeasure on pit road, and was revving his engine and doing all kinds of crazy things on pit road. And Yeah. That cost him $50,000. For that alone. For his actions just on pit road because of what he was doing. There was too many people on pit road after the race. I know what it's like. For me, as someone that goes to, as the media, when things like that happen, like, we are directed to an area where we can stand, to be able to talk to the drivers that are like the first through 1 through 5, or I'm sorry, 2 through 5, and get questions answered if we have questions for them. They have an area set up for us right there on pit road. And so to know that, and while I'm not saying he didn't have control of his car, I am not saying that at all. But just imagining that, yeah, that's a little scary. A little scary. I'm not gonna lie. So they didn't necessarily take the win away from our friend, quote unquote, Austin Dillon, but NASCAR has said you cannot use this win to get into playoffs. So yeah, you might have won a race, but your penalty for your actions now is that you are not able to use this win to get into the playoffs. You now must win an additional race to get into the playoffs. So while your actions were bad, they were horrible, you get to keep your win, but we're only gonna say, yeah, here you go, keep your win. You're not playoff eligible at this point. You're going to just have to win another one in the next couple races to make you eligible. Richard Childress has said he will be appealing that. That appeal has to be done by Darlington. Joey Logano is not going to appeal his $50,000 fine for his actions for the Richmond race. So I don't know. I still don't know how I feel about that ending incident. Overall, God, you can sound off in the comments. I know the picture has definitely, there's been plenty of sounding off on the picture, on our Facebook, but please go ahead, feel free, sound off in the comments. What are your thoughts on the incident and everything that happened? Did NASCAR make the right call with just removing him from being playoff eligible, or should they have attached an additional fine to that? Or should they have done like they have done everyone else in that situation and suspended Austin because they suspended Chase Elliott for a right rear. They suspended Bubba Wallace for a right rear. So that has been overall the precedence that's been set is suspension. But his spotter that he has was also suspended for 3 races. So, yeah. I think at the same time, NASCAR wants to say, you know, this isn't the way they want people to win the title race at Phoenix. And so that's why they're kind of making the decision that they are doing. But at the same time, you have set a precedent. I guess they're saying that the right rear to Denny was not in retaliation. That it was accidental. So that's why it is not a suspension. So, according to Elton Sawyer, after that they've looked at everything. I don't know, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. We did hear this week that AJ Allmendinger will be back in Cup full time next year for 2025. So he will be back. That's exciting for AJ. He has been full-time in Xfinity this year, but he will be back next year full-time, which is super exciting for him. We'll have to wait and see how that plays out for AJ. I will go ahead and forewarn y'all. I did tell my husband to stay in Michigan, but he didn't listen. Because that's where he was last week and into this week. But it's, you know, supposed to rain a good amount, possibly 65% chance of rain in Michigan today for the race. So I'm not sure how that's going to play out today. My in-laws that I love dearly are about 45 minutes away from the area. So I was like, hey babe, just stay up there and then, you know, go to MIS for the day. And he laughed at me. He really did. But it's supposed to be kind of a rainy day up there. My beautiful daughter lives up there as well. So my in-laws, my brother and sister-in-law and family all live up there. Truly not far from MIS at all. So I hope one day I will actually get to go. I have plenty of places to stay to go to MIS. And actually go and enjoy the race. I just don't know if today will be the day that we'll get the race in. They had a lot of issues yesterday weather-wise. They finally got the race in, but there was plenty of issues with the weather. So we'll have to wait and see. They also announced that RFK's engineer Aaron Kramer, the lead engineer for Chris Buescher's team, will be moving to the Haas factory team this week for Cole Custard. And there's a couple other. They also announced, I believe, who will be driving their two Xfinity cars full time. There was a pretty significant arrest, though. Kurt Busch was arrested for DWI and reckless driving. This is Kirk, not Kyle. And he was pulled over in North Carolina. He was doing 63 and a 45. He he does have a court date to appear and move forward for that. He is retired, but he is, still part of the sport with 23XI. So we'll see how that plays out. So Sam Mayer and Sheldon Creed are the two Xfinity drivers for 2025. So there we go. It's like, I knew it was somewhere. Today we are in Michigan. It is on USA again today. So I hope everyone is ready. Pre-race is at 2. Around 2:36 is when the green flag drops. Stages end at 45. Lap 120 for stage 2. And if all goes well, lap 200. So the coverage does begin on USA at 2:30 for the actual race, but will begin at 2 o'clock. If you want pre-race coverage, you need to listen to it, MRN or Sirius XM Channel 90. So it's supposed to be a high of 72 today, which is beautiful in Michigan. However, there's between a 38 and 65% chance of rain today. Tomorrow, it's only supposed to be like a 1% chance of rain all day. Sunset is around 8:30 in Michigan. So it would be around 8:20-ish, because I don't believe they have lights. If the race does not hit halfway, or they can't get it start, or if they have to push it back any. So yeah, just as a heads up, just in case. On the poll it's an issue, the rain. So we have Denny Hamlin, Tyler Reddick, Christopher Bell, Kyle Larson, Bubba Wallace, Chase Elliott, Ross Chastain, Ryan Blaney, William Byron, and then Austin Dillon are your top 10 for today's race. I'm just going to say, watch out. I don't know what the weather's going to throw. I'm gonna be calling my father-in-law and go, "What's the weather doing?" Probably all day. And he'll be like, "I'm napping," and I'll be like, "I need to know what the weather's doing," so I can gauge what's going on. He'll be like, "You should just be up here, and you'll know what the weather's doing." So, Chris Buescher won last time we were at MIS, and Martin Church Jr. Scored his 4th career runner-up at Michigan, and Denny Hamlin placed 3rd. So Martin Church Jr. wants to rebound though from his engine failure from last week. So hopefully we'll see what happens. Happy Sunday, happy race day. We have 3 weeks total of regular racing, and then we had the playoffs, and we'll see what happens from there. So I will see you again next week. Bye, y'all.